is to give primacy to the human and spiritual rather than to the material values of life, to encourage the daily living of the golden rule in all human relationships, to promote the adoption and the application of higher social, business, and professional standards, to develop by precept and example a more intelligent, aggressive, and serviceable citizenship, to provide through Kiwanis clubs a practical means to form enduring friendships, to render altruistic service and to build better communities, to cooperate in creating and maintaining that sound public opinion and high idealism which make possible the increase of righteousness, justice, patriotism, and goodwill. Thank you.
Bring us the invocation is Director and past District Trustee Ralston Nunes.
Thank you, President Richard, fellow Kiwanians. Almighty and everlasting God, ruler of heaven and earth, we come before you with a grateful heart, grateful for the enormous amount of blessing you have bestowed upon us. Grateful that you have given us the opportunity through this movement to impact the lives of many. Indeed, we are grateful as a nation for the good results that we are receiving at the Olympics. It clearly reminds us of the value of hard work, dedication, and commitment. Give us the capacity to appreciate the efforts of all our athletes, whether podium performances or otherwise. We ask your continued blessing on us individually and also this movement. Pray that you would grant us the fortitude to continue the work of being our brother's keeper and to look after those who are less fortunate amongst us and to commit to making their lives a little bit more comfortable. We thank you for this evening and commit this meeting under your direction. Father, we pray your blessing on all the participants and hope that the knowledge gained here will lead us to a greater understanding. All these things we ask through your Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Yes.
Sorry, President. DP Stewart, I had a little challenge before, and I made you the host under Alphonse Spencer. Can you put it back to me as the host in the meantime? Okay. Can you hear me, DP Spencer? All right, go ahead, President.
Okay, thank you. In my opening remarks, I trust that everyone had a peaceful and safe and rewarding emancipation, and also wish for everyone a safe and happy independence, and may your lives continue to be bountiful. To bring us the welcome and introduction of members and visiting clubs, I now hand over to President-designate Paul Peart at this time.
Thank you very much, President Richard. Welcome to all those that are joining us with us this evening. Of course, I want to extend a special welcome and thanks to the Kiwanis Club of Barbican for participating in this joint meeting with the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. I'll be taking the roll call of clubs this evening, and of course, the usual protocol will be observed. I'm asking if any clubs that are visiting from outside of Jamaica could identify their delegations. If not, we move to clubs that are in Jamaica. Division 25.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
This is Director John from Kiwanis Club of Barbados South. I'm alone at the moment, but hopefully I will be able to join others with you a little later.
Okay, thank you very much for joining. Welcome. Good to have our Caribbean brothers here in the house. Are there any other clubs that are from Division 25? Division 24? Division 23 West? '23 East?
Hi, good evening. This is Chairman Sophia from Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. Sharing with you this evening, we also have DLG Gerthlin, we have Kiwani Linda and Paulette Kirtland. We expect other persons to join and wishing you all the best for this evening's meeting.
Thank you very much for joining. It's always good to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. May I ask if any clubs that are with us from Division 23 East? Okay, Division 23 Central.
Paul, this evening I wear the dual hat of a distinguished president for New Kingston and sitting president for Friends Across Borders.
I wondered.
Yes, you were both hats.
Not to mind. When your parents own you, you have to ensure you honor your parents, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so I have two other members online with me, and I'm sure others are going to join. And we look forward to this vivacious conversation, especially since my Bayesian brother, his prime minister, has bigged up Jamaica. We just want him in the conversation. We thank you for the invitation, and we look forward to an enjoyable evening.
You're most welcome, DP Paulette, and thank you very much for taking the time out to join us.
Behave yourself, Paulette.
Yes.
Okay, good evening,
Yes,
President
good evening.
Richard. Thank you, PD Paul. Good evening, President Richard and Kiwanis Club of Kingston, distinguished members, Kiwanian Circle K, and guests. I am PD Ashira, and I am very honored this evening to be representing Kiwanis Club of Barbican. The internet would not allow my president to be here with us at this time. However, he promised that he would join. So I am PD Ashira, and I'm very moved to be to your club and to join with you this evening. We are happy to be sharing with your club and highlighting the spirit of Olympics. Of course, we have 1, 2, 3, and we have another 3, which here resonates with some spirits I wish and hope I can actually pump out there, but I'm not a runner. So currently we have 7 persons joining. We're expecting others, and I'm truly happy to be here. Thank you for allowing us to join with you this evening.
Yes, thank you very much, PD. Sure, it's good to have you, and of course, with your delegation. Are there any other clubs from Division 23 East? I'll go to Division 23 Central. Are there any clubs from Division 23 Central?
The president designate, you'll have to go back to recognize overseas visitors. We have an overseas visitors joined us.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much, President, for that interjection.
Yes.
Could we have the acknowledgement of our overseas visitors? Could you unmute yourself and identify your club and your delegation, please? Yes.
Go ahead, Michael.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Nkwanga Michael. I'm very privileged to be here once again. I'm representing the Kiwanis Club of Kasese and the Kiwanis Club of Nakawa. Thank you so much for the invitation. Please have a good meeting.
Yes, thank you very much. And of course, it would be good to say that you're from Uganda. It's good to have you in the house. Oh.
Thank you so much.
Yes. May I ask for the clubs for the divisions that have not identified yourself early on, could you put it in the chat? We would appreciate that. I'm going to ask for our SLPs, could identify yourself and your clubs, please.
Hello, good night.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. This is President Orena from the Dunoon Park Technical High School. With me, I have Secretary Tashoy, and we are awaiting more members. Thanks for the invitation, and we look forward to a wonderful meeting.
Yes, thank you very much for joining and your delegation. Are there any other SLPs?
Good night, everyone. President Kijani Williams here from the Kingston College Key Club. I have with me tonight KRO Courtney Palmer, and we look forward to having more members join. We look forward for a very interesting meeting.
Yes, thank you very much, President Kijani. It's good to have our SLPs, Kingston College.
So good afternoon, everyone. This is President Joshua from the Mike University College, Circle K International Club. Currently, I'm by myself, waiting for other members to join. Nevertheless, thank you for the invitation. Looking forward to this meeting.
Yes, thank you very much, President Joshua.
Good night, everyone. President Deborah Heron from the St. Hughes High School Key Club. I am currently alone as well, hoping for more members to follow through shortly, but I am sure I'll be very much so entertained with this wonderful topic we will be discussing tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining as well. It's good to have you. Okay, can I ask guests of Kiwanians that are here with us, could you identify your guests, or any guests that are on our platform? Could you be kind to identify yourself, please? We'll be grateful for that.
Oh, good evening. I'm Eurydice, just visiting, and I'm looking forward to this evening. I understand it will be very exciting. So,
yes, thank you very much for joining as well. It's always good to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. Are there any other guests or guests of Kiwanians that are on this platform? Could you kindly say your name and identify yourself, please? And
evening, Kiwan and Andrew here. I have a guest with me, a prospective member, our senior Sawyers in the meeting. I think this is the first meeting he's joining with us, and hopefully will continue to be a part of Kiwanis Club of Kingston.
Yes, thank you very much, Kiwan and Andrews.
PD Paul?
Yes. Oh, good evening, DPs. Yes.
How are you? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Divisional Secretary Sandra from the Kiwanis Club of Constant Spring. Not sure if we were recognized earlier, PD, but I know my president should be in the room and another member. So, and we're expecting others to join. Of course, you know, I like to call myself a tracker leaf. That's a new name. I thought it made sense for me to be in this meeting, right? So I'm looking forward to a very interesting and enjoyable meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming as well. It's always good to have you.
Thank you.
And I still owe you that invitation. We'll discuss it after.
You do. I'm waiting with bated breath.
Okay, lovely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, President. Over to you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I think we saw Dunoon Park Technicals team online. Are they in the house?
Yes, President Orena introduced herself.
Okay.
Yes, yes, they are put in the chat, President. So I've asked that they do that in the interest of time. Because I'm not really that lengthy discussion. So yes.
Oh,
Okay.
and President Richard, let me just add that our special guest, Dr. Clyde Morrison, I think he has just signed on.
Okay.
Welcome, Clyde.
Excellent. we now move to recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. I'm going to ask VP Desmond, in the absence of VP Designate Newton, who will be joining us late, to proceed. We have no apologies for absence.
Thank you, President Richard. Good evening, everyone. We recognize the birthday. Well, it's not, it's the 8th actually. We're not there yet, but when it comes, DP Lloyd Davis on the 8th. The wife of Kiwanian Cleveland Williams, that's Carol Williams. She's also on the 8th. We have wedding anniversaries for past director Cecil Johnson and Sheila, also on the 8th. And our DP Patrick Anderson and Diana. I saw his wife today and we spoke. And of course, she's happy that he is improving in his speech. So that's a good sign, and they've been communicating very well. So today is also their wedding anniversaries. So we just want us to wish them happy anniversary and also happy birthdays to those who will celebrate come on the 8th. When is the 8th? The 8th is Sunday. All right, all these dates I have here on the 8th. But I'll also, President, if you allow me, use the opportunity to wish happy birthdays to anyone who is with us, or we can recognize them, who may be celebrating before today, today and after today. During the course of this week, we can recognize those birthday celebrants. Anybody celebrating birthdays? No? Or wedding anniversaries? No? All right. Thank you. Thank you, President Richard. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Secretary DLG William Reeson will now bring Kiwanis education. Over to you, Secretary William.
Thank you, President Richard. Fellow Kiwanians, I thought I would read a section from the Standard Form for Bylaws and Policies as relates to members. And I thought I'd do it this evening, as August 24th, we plan to have another of our induction ceremonies. And it's very encouraging to see our new Kiwanian, Dr. Andrew Burton, bring a guest to the meeting this evening. We're hoping we can induct at least 5 new members on August 24, but we're asking each member if they can think of somebody of good character and good community standing that they can be admitted to membership in our club. So, Article 2 on the members in the Standard Form for Club Bylaws and Policies states, adults of good character and good community standing may be admitted to membership in this club by invitation or by transfer from another Kiwanis club upon no less than a majority vote of the board. Members in good standing are entitled to all rights and privileges of the club. To be in good standing, members are obligated to pay the dues and fees provided in club policy and comply with any other criteria provided in club policy. Members not in good standing may be suspended or removed by no less than a majority vote of the board. At least 14 days previous notice of such pending action must be provided to the member. The member will have the right to appeal to present his case to the board on or before the meeting at which action will be determined. Finally, a member may resign by submitting written notice to the club. Any member who resigns or has been removed from club membership forfeits all interest in any club funds or property and has all rights to use any Kiwanis marks. President Richard, that's Kiwanis education for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now move to our main event for this evening. Let's Talk Tokyo 2021. And I now hand over to DP Stuart Spencer to introduce our guest speaker and to moderate this session. Over to you, DP Stuart.
Yes, good afternoon, President Richard and fellow Kiwanians and guests. First of all, let me make a correction. He's our guest. He's not our guest speaker. We didn't plan the meeting in that format. But he is our special guest who will contribute to the whole the topic of Tokyo 2020. So let me again welcome Dr. Morrison, Clyde, for taking the time out to be with us this evening. And let me just, as a kind of a prelude as to what we're trying to accomplish. We're halfway through the Olympics, or halfway through, yes, just about halfway. We're now in what? Today is Tuesday, and it will end this weekend. And we don't have to just talk about track and field, because remember there are other events, whether Jamaica is in it or not. If you want to discuss anything to do with those events, that's fine. And I want to kind of set the tone by and this is because this is not a panel discussion where everybody else keeps quiet. We want to involve everybody. Everybody has a chance to share. And let me give you an idea of what I'm thinking of when I said share. Think of what amazed you, right? Think of what may have made you smile. Think of what confused you. There are a couple of things that may have confused you. Think of what made you feel ecstatic. Think of what touched you. Think of what disappointed you. And think of what you may be still looking forward to. So any of those things gives you a clue as to what we are encouraging you to bring up, right? But since we have a special guest, I'm gonna ask Clyde to open the floor. And I didn't tell him this in this format, but I don't want you to cover everything now, Clyde. Some other things will come up after, but just give a little opening salvo to the evening. And then I'm going to go and make it open to the floor, and then I will come in at different points. So, Clyde, over to you.
But who is Clyde Stewart?
I introduced Dr. Clyde Morrison.
But he was the fact that he went to Calabar.
Yes, some of you might remember that he was part of our panel when we had our talking track and field, right? He's a doctor by profession. He was also the Calabar team doctor for some time, and he has a special interest in the type of medicine relating to athletes' injuries and so on. But it's because we have had him before where I didn't really go through that kind of introduction. But yes, I'm glad you reminded me. Not that I forgot, but Clyde is also a Calabar old boy. So go ahead, Clyde.
Good evening, friends. One of the most amazing things about this Olympics is that we're having it. Certainly, there's a lot of questions whether we would have had it.
Sorry, Clyde, we're getting up. I don't know if you have on a fan, but we're getting a lot of a little disturbance. I don't know if it's a fan. You can tell me. In the sound.
Let me turn it on. Okay, is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Yes, I was saying one of the most amazing things is that we're having the Olympics. because with COVID, it really looked very, very dubious. In fact, as you all know, the Japanese persons themselves weren't interested anymore in hosting the Olympics. And it's a Olympics that like no other Olympics, where there are no persons in the stands, no screaming fans out there. So it's a different sort of environment. But somehow I think it has been working very, very well. And certainly the good thing is that from the point of view of maybe the most important persons in the Olympics are the participants, it's great that they're able to take part. You know, you train 3 years, 4 years, and one of the high points of your career is taking part in the Olympics. So the fact that we're able to have the Olympics, that maybe is the most significant feature of Tokyo 2021, that it's actually taking place. And also, if we can forget the fact that those little figures we see in the pictures aren't really persons, it has been quite a good Olympics so far. Certainly the performers, especially when one thinks about track and field, the performers have come to the meet. They have come to perform. They've put out their best, and we have been thrilled by some of the performances that we have seen so far. So as I'm saying, it's great that it has happened, and so far it has been unfolding very, very nicely.
Okay, thanks, Guy. Okay, let me put in a couple of 2 cents. There are a couple of significant things in this Olympics, and I'm sure you're watching this morning when Elaine Thompson won the 200 meters. Significant historical event because she doubled in Rio in 2016, and now she's doubling in Tokyo. First woman to ever have done that, and you know, truly an amazing feat. One of the things that will come up is that what was interesting though is the person who came second, and I'll just throw this into the mix at this point. Her name was Mboma, right? And she is from Namibia, and she's one of 2 athletes who have been, I want to say diagnosed, but it's not an illness, but have been tested and found to have high levels of natural testosterone. And the IOC and the different, you know, whether it's World Athletics or IOC, I don't think it would have been the Olympic Committee. I'm not sure. I think it's the IOC. It would be the World Athletics. Have defined, let's say, use the word banned her from performing in the 400 meters, and I think also the 8, but a couple of those higher distances, but yet have approved her for the 200 and the 1. Now, I want to make just a little slight correction. That's what people have been saying, but I believe that what the World Athletics actually said was that they had data on her performances relative to the 400 and the 800, but they didn't have any data on the 2 and the 1. So they have allowed her to compete in that. It seemed a little bit odd that if high testosterone is the issue, why wouldn't high testosterone levels also impact you in 100 or 200? But as I said, I don't think they said that it wouldn't. It's just that they said they didn't have the data to be able to make that decision. Clyde, are you familiar with what they said on that particular point? Is my understanding the same as yours?
Yeah, that's it. But okay, the history really is from Caster Semenya, right? A lot of the work was done relating to Caster Semenya, and a lot of the policies that they developed were because of Caster Semenya. And they determined that and I mean, from a scientific point of view, one can question the science, but they determine that based on one's high levels of testosterone, it gives you an unfair advantage in the 400, 800, 1500. That is what I mean. One would have to look at the data as to why they picked out those three, but it's really based on Semena's experience that they came down with that. So as a result, if you recall, with Semenya, she was allowed to go and do the 200 meters. She tried it, never really worked out, and then she eventually stepped up to the next event, the 5,000, and she also never quite made the team. So the three events that they have so far.
Sorry, Clyde. There are a couple of mics that are open. I'm asking you to please close your mics because we're getting some disturbance. You should know yourself. There's a Trevor Galaxy A7. That one we're asking you to close. Oh, it's still open. Trevor's okay. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Clyde.
So the science so far, as far as world athletics is concerned, is that when one has that condition with increased amount of male hormones, it gives you an unfair advantage in the 400, 800, 1500. That is where their science has reached so far. And on that basis, they had said you could do an event which is longer than that or shorter. So these two young athletes opted to do the short event, and the results we have been seeing that they are really very, very outstanding for their age. So World Athletics probably will, as I've been said, will be sent back to the drawing board actually to rethink how they should move forward, because these guys are, I mean, and nobody knew about them before as very outstanding athletes, and they have really been just outperforming themselves. So I think my point of view is that World Athletics will have to stop and think about it again as to whether, based on the precedents that they set, how that will apply to these young athletes who opted to do the 200 meters. That's my personal take.
I'm gonna invite the floor to come in, but let me just throw one thing in. I'd like us to think, how would we feel if we had athletes who didn't, and let's assume that they are correct, they didn't take any drugs or anything, they just have naturally occurring high levels of testosterone. How would we feel as Jamaicans if we had such an athlete and this is what happened to them? Just keep that in mind. But who would like to come in, either on this point or another point?
Divisional Secretary Sandra's hand raised.
Okay, go ahead.
DP Stewart, there's something, good evening all, good evening.
Good evening.
Right, there's something I don't understand, and that is in regards to the same issue that we're speaking of. Now there's a transgender person who took part in the Olympics.
Yes.
That person was a male who is performing as a female, right? But then you have natural females who, because of the high levels of testosterone, they have said no, they can't perform in the era that they want to. I don't understand that, because then doesn't it mean that this person who is a transgender have way more testosterone than these naturally born ladies?
A very good point. I saw a picture. Wasn't it weightlifting? Was it weightlifting?
I think it's weightlifting.
Yeah.
Yes, one of those. Yes.
I saw a picture, and when you look at the person, you kind of wonder, why is he? Sorry, why? I'm not sure what to call it. Why is she then on the same podium with two ladies? I don't know if the IOs, if the World Athletics has been asked that question, because we are assuming, however, and I think it's a fair assumption, that if you are a transgender athlete that was born male, it's very likely that you have a higher level of testosterone, and your physical features also support, that assumption. So that's something that I'm hoping that we don't have the answer here, but it's certainly a question that needs to be put to World Athletics.
No, but listen, don't confuse IOC with World Athletics. There are two different bodies with
It's
different
World
rules.
Athletics, I meant.
Yeah, but I'm saying no, with the weightlifter, that's IOC, not World Athletics.
Oh, okay. So IOC determined those guidelines in terms of allowing transgender.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks for making that point clear. Thank you. All right. Who else wants to come in on this or any other point?
Sure, not on that point, but may I?
Yeah, sure.
You alluded to earlier, quite rightly so, the historic nature of what Elaine did today. And it is something that I am struggling because somehow I feel that the celebration was a bit subdued. And if it was a win for Shelley, there will be a lot more.
No, but let me just let me ask you about that. When you say subdued where? Just put that in context for me.
In Jamaica.
In Jamaica, on the rock.
Yes. I didn't hear the great jubilation, and the double is unprecedented.
Well, remember, the meet, remember the halfway tree venue is not the same as in Beijing, because of the time of the day. So I don't know if you would have, if that is the kind of, if that's what you would have expected. But so I wouldn't know how to measure what you are saying. But if you feel that way, I'm not gonna question it. Does anybody else get the same sense that Rosalind is saying?
DP Stewie, I think so, but then I believe that the reason, especially not having the multitudes in halfway tree, is simply because of COVID. So usually, persons would be gathered everywhere in various parishes once this is happening, but based on COVID, that is not something that you really want to do.
Sorry, were the screens carrying it though, Sandra? Were the screens carrying it? I don't know.
Sure. I'm not sure. I wasn't out on the streets today, so I really can't tell you. But what I do know based on social media is that it was, I've seen it everywhere that I've been on social media all day today.
Yes. It's not, to me, the celebration is not muted. In fact, there are the Shelley supporters, but I see no negativity. I really haven't seen much of anything in terms. Okay, there are a couple of persons after the 100 who were trying to suggest that even though Elaine won the 100 in record time and so on, that Shelley still has the better record in the 100, which technically was true. Record, not record in terms of world record or Olympic record, but transactional record. And that person was obviously a Shelley fan trying to make sure that her props did not drop. But I didn't see much of that. I didn't see much of that. And but there are the different camps. But I don't think I feel I don't mind giving my personal view on this. I personally was looking forward to. I wanted Elaine to win. From the 100, I'm talking about from the 100. Obviously, after she won the 100, you want the double. But I'm saying it from the time when she, and I'll tell you why. I'm not anti-Shelley. I like Shelley. Shelley, you can't not like Shelley. But what I felt was that Shelley had her down period, and she had recovered and risen back to the top. Whereas Elaine has been down basically since Rio. And I really wanted to see her lifted up again. And that is really why I was kind of, just personally rooting that this would be a good games for her. Anyway, let's get some other persons in. Let's get some other persons in.
If I may comment, right?
Okay.
Time in Jamaica has been divided into, we talk about BC and AD. As far as Olympics, track and field in Jamaica, it's it's BB and AB. So
Yes.
in that whole Bolt era, the whole, I mean, the euphoria which Jamaicans accepted and got accustomed to as the norm existed. And now that we are in the post-Bolt era, that euphoria has certainly settled down a bit, and that I think has spilled over to all the other athletes. So I think that is
Yes.
why
Yes.
there has been a lessening of the response since Bolt.
Yeah.
In fact, what we saw even with Shelley in the World Champs was nothing compared to what used to obtain in Bolt's era. So
Yeah.
and then when we add COVID to it on top of that, I think that it is, we really have moved on from the sort of response that we were accustomed to as a norm all over Jamaica in the Bolt era. So I think that's what
I think that's a
more
very
than
good
a
point.
feeling
Yeah.
of not supporting LA.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I want to draw another analogy, which is
Before you move, I wanted to say one other thing before
Go
you
ahead.
move on. I wanted to also say that, with Shelley and Elaine, they are basically like two different personalities. Shelley is like this very winnable personality. She's very, very social, outgoing. Elaine now is a more subdued personality. For instance, even when Shelley was down, Shelley's social media pages, like every single day there's something. Like in Elaine, you basically don't see her. So Shelley has people, her marketing people, who really are pushing her, but you don't really see that for Elaine, for me. But that's what I know.
Let me ask you, when you're looking at Shelley's page, was that on Facebook?
I look at it on Facebook mostly, yes.
Right. Well,
But I
Elaine
don't
has
see
been
that for
Elaine is very active on Instagram.
Well, there
Maybe
you
that
go.
is her preferred, because I follow her and I see a lot of her stuff. Right?
Okay.
But I just wanted to draw one parallel before that, is to support what Claudia said. If you all remember the first time Veronica won a gold medal, I think that was the time when you all remember the time and the medal presentation and how she cried. You remember that? After that,
yeah, I remember.
Right.
Yes,
No Jamaicans cry anymore when they're with, and I think it's the same principle. The euphoria of it being a first time for a long time, or we have gotten accustomed to it, and the athletes have gotten accustomed to it. Right. So you don't see persons even shedding a tear on a medal when the medals are being presented anymore and the anthem is being played. We have kind of gotten it. So I think that point is a very good point. But I think that Jamaicans love what Elaine has been able to accomplish. All right, let's get some other views in. Who else would like to jump in?
Oh, may I, Stu?
Sure.
Good
Yes,
evening,
Marcel,
everybody.
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't want to believe at this point because I know there's so many other aspects. But there's just one thing I want to just add a little note of caution. Because I picked up, and we mentioned it a while ago, the Shelley camp and the Elaine camp. And I think
I couldn't clear. That wasn't clear. Say
no,
it
I'm
again.
saying I have a concern, and it was a note of caution because even just now, we sometimes may speak of Shelley supporters, which is true, and Elaine supporters, and the Shelley camp as against the Elaine camp, which probably comes out naturally. But I'm suggesting that we be careful and cautious because and celebrate the fact. The point I'm making really, don't be like North America and the UK people. Celebrate the fact that this country has produced two and many more, but in this instance, two super athletes, that are representing Jamaica. They come from different schools and different training camps. But when that is over and we go to the Olympics, just celebrate the two. we're privileged that at the same time we have two super athletes representing the country and not follow the North Americans. So they foment things like that. That's just another thing.
I would think that that is you're preaching to the converted. I don't think anybody here is in falls in that category. But when we speak about it, it's because we recognize that there are elements of that exist.
Yeah, right.
You know, but whenever I see it coming up on social media, there are always people who jump in and say what you are saying,
Oh,
so
shut
that
it down. Oh,
they remind them
Mhm.
that look, they are ours. They are both ours,
Yeah.
and we should just be happy for them.
Okay, great, great. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
want-
happening. Okay. Let me share something. I think if you guys are watching a lot of TV, you may have picked this up. But another significant point that should be remembered in this Olympics is that Stephen Francis has now been the trainer or the coach for 4 successive 100-meter winners among the women, that is, from 2008, 2012, 2016, and now 2020, which happened in 21. Now, that is a record now, but there was another coach who had done it for 3 successive occasions. So a little trivia I'll just throw in. How many of you are old enough to remember Wilma Rudolph? She won the gold in
What about
1960.
her?
Don't make me sound like some me
No.
agent.
No, I imagine you read about her too. Yeah.
Now, the 1960 Olympics in Rome, right? There was this girl, Wilma Rudolph, who
Yes.
she had polio. What was so amazing about her? She had polio, and she was able to recover from it, and she won the 100 and the 200. I think she won both. Yes,
Yeah,
and the
yes.
relay and the relay.
Yes.
In 64, she didn't run in another Olympics. I think she had competed in the one before in the 56 Olympics.
Yeah.
But in 64 now, we had another girl called Wyoma Tyus. And she repeated in 68. So that would have been 60, 64, right, in 68. They were all trained by the same coach. And it was a guy named Ed Temple. And his base was Tennessee State University. So that was a bit of trivia. It's also interesting that these were all black. You know, maybe I can't help noticing though that they were all black people. You know, so just another interesting factor.
Yeah.
All right, floor is open. It's still open. Who else wants to come in with another point?
I don't know. Can I say?
Sure, Warren. Go ahead.
2 quick ones. You mentioned Stephen Francis and his achievement of four consecutive female champions.
Yes.
But I think his greatness, I think we need to appreciate his true greatness, and even in how he prepared Elaine. I think it's a special expertise to have your athlete peaking at the right time, you know, for the biggest meets.
Yes.
And I think Stephen Francis has mastered that art. I think in the case of Shelley, I think she moved to a younger, good coach, obviously a good coach, but I think a little less experience. And I think, in my opinion now, that Shelley peaked too early. I think she peaked perhaps a week or two before the local trials. You know, she did her 1063, I think, a week or two before our trials. And she was still in good condition for our trials. But I think she was on her way down. If you look on her times, I mean, she did, you know, slower times in the Olympics, than what she did in the trials and even before the trials. So I think it's a tribute to Stephen Francis again in planning the recovery first of Elaine and getting her to peak at the right time for the biggest meet in the world, you know. So I think we can't underestimate the man's skills,
Well,
you know.
another one of his qualities, which we can't help but identify, is that he has taken a lot of athletes who were not major stars. You know, they were not. I mean, I was reading where Elaine's biggest achievement at champs was, I think, fourth place in the 100. I think it was that must have been class one. It must have been fourth place.
Yes, all right.
And right, so and then his other persons that he has, you know, they tend to be. I think he has a thing which says that the ones who have achieved a lot at the championship level or local high school championship level, they are harder to coach because they feel that they already have, you know, either attained, but I guess they don't soak up the knowledge as easily.
They have a right.
That's his theory.
But is that why he turned down Bolt?
I'm not.
No.
I'm not so sure if that is a fact. I
No,
can't speak to that.
I saw an interview where he himself said Bolt came to him, but he thought because he had a Safa who was the world champion that he could take on the two people at once. So
well, that's for a different reason then. If that's what he said, that would be for a different reason than the one I am postulating.
Something will be wrong with that because the timing wouldn't suggest that.
Yes.
But still, if I may, on that same note, because if I could just, you know, shift the discussion a bit, because I know time is short. Personally, something that has concerned me, I think it concerns all of us, and I'll go straight to it. I'm very interested, and I've been watching the performance of Christopher Taylor, and it relates to what we were just saying, because obviously we have produced, especially at the you know, Kingston College and Calabar and so on, a lot of at the high school level, quote unquote, super performers who we have made into superstars. There are a number of reasons why I personally think they have kind of faded. But Christopher Taylor, I am happy and impressed so far that, you know, is one of the quote unquote superstars who seem to be coming through. I think it's a really good achievement. You know, everybody, we can talk about Shelley and Elaine all night, of course. But to see him coming through and reach the finals, you know, at the Olympics in the 400, I think is something to celebrate and to really watch and see how he progresses.
The same time he did at school, 44.9.
No. Oh, I'm not okay. Let me not debate that. Let me just mention another young athlete who I am looking forward to in the next couple of years of really developing this. I thought, and I'm talking about Brittany Anderson.
Yes.
I think her performance, granted she didn't repeat her level of performance in the finals. This is for those who are not so familiar with the name. She is a 100-meter hurdler, and she ran a time of 12.4 in the semifinals, and but she didn't do as well in the finals. And then Megan Tapper, you know, emerged as the leading Jamaican and getting the bronze medal.
Yes.
But that 12.4 is significant. I think prior to that, only Daniel Williams.
Yes.
In fact, the Jamaican record is I think it's 12:32 or 12:34. I think it's 12:32. Right.
Yes.
And that's Daniel Williams. And
no, Daniel, yes.
So, and she's just 20 or just about 20, and she displayed in her interviews a level of, you know, maturity in terms of analyzing her race that I was also very impressed with.
Yes.
Here's another thing that struck me. we have been talking about our selection policy where we do first past the post, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the UK doesn't do that. The UK has a system where they say first 2 past the post, you're good. But we reserve the right to pick the third person. It could be the same person who came third, but it doesn't have to be. Now look at what happened with Zarnell Hughes. Zarnell Hughes at his UK trials picked out. He picked out, so, but because of their selection policy, they selected him. And so, and as the Olympics was going on, first round, second round, or so on, semifinals.
You pick again.
No, that's not what I'm gonna say. Up to the second round,
Yes.
he was doing okay, and it would seem that the decision was working out in their favor. But then he picked in the final. That's what I was gonna say. He picked in the
Yes.
final. And what I still wonder, I mean, is it, I don't know, is it when you give somebody a break? I mean, surely he knew he was gonna get thrown out, but it just seemed a little ironic that you pick out at your trials, you get a chance, and you go into the Olympics final and you pick again. You know, I don't know what anybody else thinks about that, but it just seemed ironic.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because it probably justifies, I don't know, Telemacoke was one of those. It probably justifies
our policy.
Although I tend to want to go with having that option. I think we have squeezy in this thing. I think it's a very good thing we have the medical
exemption,
which for obvious reasons makes sense. But maybe replicating what happens at our trials, what would happen in a few weeks or a few months' time at an Olympics is probably the way to go, because this probably justifies it. You know, it's an interesting point you raise.
Who would like to share, for example, what has been, are there any things that have confused you about any decisions that have been made or taken at the Olympics that you want some clarity on? And if we can help, then we try and do that. Anybody wants to jump in that particular area or vein?
I don't want to talk about decision, but I'm just expressing my disappointment with Sharika Jackson.
Yeah.
I believe that Sharika could have medaled in the 200. I have all that confidence in her.
You're not alone.
But I don't understand what she did in the heats. Maybe what were her instructions? How come she wasn't aware of the closest athlete beside her? I don't know, but I'm pretty confident that she would have medaled.
You miss George.
Let me kind of respond. I heard Bruce James saying something, and he could only have been speaking for Sharika and Elaine, that he thinks they were told. I can't remember if he actually said they were told, but he said he thought they were told to, get out of the blocks, do that kind of normal, but when you hit the straight, you just take your foot off the gas. Words similar to that.
Yeah.
Now, that is not what either Elaine or Sharika did. They didn't run the first 100 very hard. But Elaine now just made sure she knew where she was. She made sure she knew who was around her. And she just took it and made sure that she, I can't remember if she did. I don't think she crossed the line first. I can't remember. But she just made sure she qualified.
Yeah.
Now, Sharika was on the inside lane. Elaine was more in the middle. Sharika was more on the inside lane, so she could see everybody.
Right.
And she was now almost in third position, as just almost about to cross the line. She did not see the other athlete who was running from a bit far back, and also joined them on the line where those other two, where Sharika was. Now, this reminds me of something that I've heard analysts say. I remember when Oblique Seville was running his semi-final, and I think it was his first round, and he looked across. He got to the tape in second position, and he looked across just to kind of see, if everybody, if he was, okay. Now, I thought that was a good thing to do. You want to make sure you're aware of your surroundings, and also if in the preliminary rounds you don't know where anybody else is, then your option is to run harder. So when you look, you are trying to say, well, okay, if I don't have to exert more because I know where everybody else is or where most people are, then I'm okay. Now I saw one of the analysts I heard on TVJ criticized him for that. Now, can you think if Sharika had done something similar in terms of looking to her side, since she was on the inside lane, running from lane 2, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But she we can't sit here and understand it. But we have to just put it down to her. There's no question that she wanted that medal. There's no question. So she just did the wrong thing, and we're just not going to beat her up on it.
There's an explanation I heard too, that the big screen distorts distances. At the stadium, and if you look up on the big screen, it appears that the person is somewhere away, whereas in reality it isn't so. But I suppose you're supposed to. I heard the analogy of looking in that modern cars that have this thing, and when you look on it, it gives you a distorted effect.
Some people are closer, yes. The car is closer than you think, or further. Okay.
But I'm like most of us here. I would even go further. I was looking for Sharika to get a silver, in that race.
I think she could, yeah.
She could have.
She's so strong, Not even the high testosterone could catch her.
Yes, it was. Go ahead.
The fact is, true. I think she has admitted that she made a horrible mistake.
Yes.
And having done that, we can only analyze, but as you said, we can't beat up on her.
No, she did too good to beat up on her. Yeah.
This is a lesson that will stay with her.
Right.
In fact, she said as much in a tweet. Is it Sandra who was trying to come in?
Yeah, I was just saying, but there is also another analogy outside in the rumor mills. That one I won't disclose.
Yeah, this is we have those. I know the one.
It doesn't sound consistent with the coach though. If that's the same one you're thinking about, it wouldn't be consistent with the coach.
Listen, people, can I just before time goes on, just say I got it. For me, what has the biggest inspiration? A little lady who is barely above the hurdles, named Megan Tapper. I, like many people used to say from long time ago, why does she think she can clear these hurdles? And to know, just to fast forward to know, that she ends up with a bronze, right?
Bronze medal, yes.
And then I saw and heard, I think I saw it too, that she said this. It's a big teaching moment and lesson for me. From she was at high school. This has been about 10 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and she said she's going to. She not said she wish, she may, she might. Her dream, and she's going to achieve getting a medal in the Olympics. Now, can you imagine how our friends ridicule her and laughed at her? And I know for some people, that's what drives them to achieve,
Yes.
It's the biggest inspiration for me. I mean, I can't get over it. And of course, to me, her effervescence and her
yes.
And as Lloyd said, her DJ set, she's just a charmer. I love her. I think in terms of inspiration, she is the inspiration for me. For me, she's the performer. The performance is Elaine, but the performer for me is Megan.
Thanks for that, Marcel. When I put on it, things that what made you smile, I would put that in that category,
Yes, yes.
and this, I'm also trying to solicit from our audience. Let me remind you, anything that if you felt it amazed you, it made you smile, made you feel ecstatic, right? Or something that just touched you. For example, in the high jump, who wants to talk? In the high jump, we had a situation where everybody, the guys, the male high jump, they had done everything equal. I think they had one miss or so on, but they had reached a point where they now had an option to do a jump off.
Yeah, that's tiebreaker. Mm.
You know, but and then they both decided.
Wall.
No man, the high jump.
No, it's high jump. It's high jump.
The high jump.
And then they both spoke to each other and decided, we share the goal. They just want to know if they had the option.
Big goal.
And they got 2 goals.
Yeah, they didn't share one goal. They each got their own goal. Yes,
Instead of gold and a silver, they got 2 goals.
They got right. And apparently the two of them had some injury issues in the 2 prior years. So they were just happy to have been back on top. And they just decided that, and I thought that was also a nice moment. Because one of them would have lost.
It also said DP Stewie that they're best friends.
Yes,
Oh,
I've heard that.
Okay.
Yes. So it made sense.
Although one is Italian and the other one is from Bahrain.
One of those countries.
Qatar, right? Qatar.
Another moment that made me smile.
Yes.
Also the revelation of this young 17-year-old Knighton.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think all things being equal, his future seems just way out of the world.
Yes. He has broken Bolt's junior record in the 200. And I think there's another one. I'm not sure if it's
I think it's 2, they said.
They said 2, yeah. But he's one to watch. And another thing, how you guys feel about Gabby Thomas? Anybody wants to share anything how they feel about Gabby Thomas? You know her father is Jamaican, right? I don't know if you all know that, but do you know that?
Yeah, well, I read based on your post that she
okay.
Her dad is Jamaican.
Yes, her dad is Jamaican.
Well, I'm still looking to see what spectacular thing she's coming in. I didn't think she was that spectacular based on everything, but I'm waiting to see.
Well,
I know she's a brilliant young lady. Academically, she's brilliant. But I don't know. I don't know yet.
Yeah, but the time she ran at her trials, right? Was what, 21:61 or something like that.
21:61.
That was a brilliant run. I mean, we always think Oregon is a fast track.
It is.
So next year the World Championships will be held there.
Right.
So we'll get a chance to see how other people perform on that track. But then in terms of, she did get the bronze. She did edge out Shelley, and she got the bronze. So you can't say that she didn't perform or she has not. She didn't
It is
perform.
also said that it's not she who edged out Shelley.
No, well, the fact that remember, the Namibian came second. So if she came third, then you have to say she edged out Shelley.
Well, I guess. But
just from that point of view.
They don't want, one way or the other, somebody edged out Shelley out of that spot.
Right. But the fact is that the Namibian was coming from way back.
Yeah, but DP Stewart, there's one thing, well, it's not on the Olympics, but it has to do with all the athletes. I don't know if you saw that that post from Asafa today. I reposted it in regards to the athletes. Now, what is Jamaica doing for the athletes? I mean, yes, we all know they go to the Olympics, the World Championships, the CSC games, and et cetera, et cetera. They really don't get paid. They probably get a very meager stipend. If they're injured and all of these things, who really is helping them? Really, a lot of athletes have fallen on hard times. What are we doing for them? But, as Jamaicans, we cost them the most. And we don't really understand that they're doing it for love of country. Yes, of course, it helps them on the circuit to make some more money, but
I think the point
what
that
are we
Safo
doing
was
for
making.
them?
So I think the point that Safo was making is that not everybody is on the
Right.
is able to
Exactly.
earn on the circuit.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
there are
Can I
some
come in
who
here, somebody?
go
There are
ahead.
some hands raised in the chat.
DP Audrey Brown has her hand up for quite some
Audrey Brown
time.
has her hand up.
Can you
Okay,
recognize her?
let's go. Let's Audrey come in, please.
Thank you, DP Stewart, and good evening, everyone. My question to you, DP Stewart, do you know what the protocols are for the athletes from the country perspective? I asked a question because we had a jumper who was, to me, I think, seriously injured, and he was still allowed to jump. And the reasons given when I listened to the commentators was that he wanted to jump. So basically, the decision was up to him. So I'm asking the question because I think going to the Olympics, you represent country, and as such, the country should be responsible for you, not just for airfare, but for your wellness. Do you have any insight on the protocols?
Okay, I don't think it's a question of a protocol. It's really a decision between a coach and I guess the team management could come into it. I think that what we would have to, we are sitting on the sidelines and we don't know exactly what's happening there. We know he has an injured knee. That we can see that. But we don't know exactly the nature of the injury. I personally would hope that that you notice he was able to run to the board, almost without it looking like he had a problem. So clearly there were some things he could do. And I wanted to throw in another point before I finish answering your question. Don't believe that athletes who you see, a lot of them are running with some kind of pain. It's just the nature of the business. Now, I'm not saying that this is this is not an extraordinary example, but don't believe that athletes ever have perfect health, perfect, there always some niggle somewhere. And if they were to opt out every time they had a little niggle, right, they probably would never compete. I'm just saying that this is something that you must bear in mind. I would only hope that the management, because he has a coach, there's a management because he's part of the MVP camp, that what they would have gone through in order to say, okay, even if you want to do it, I'm sure they could stop him. I don't think there is anything that meant that they couldn't have said to him, no, we cannot allow you to do it. So I think that he probably wanted to try it, and they probably felt that the nature of the injury was not one which was going to necessarily make him worse off if he just tried a couple of jumps. That's all we can say looking at the sideline, and hope that when we see him after the Olympics and getting ready for World Championships next year, we will be able to say, well, he didn't really injure himself, or he didn't really do any permanent harm. Let me just throw in one other thing. I will always remember Bertrand Cameron. Bertrand Cameron, it was the 1984 Olympics, yeah? And if some of you may or may not remember it, but he was running the semifinals of the 400 meters, and he went out. There was another guy from the US, I think it was Antonio McKay, if I remember correctly. And Antonio McKay was a front runner. He went out hard. And I don't think this was Bert's normal style, but Bert decided, I'm going to follow him. And anyway, we don't know what caused him to pull. So even when I'm making this little linkage, I can't say that was the cause of it. But he pulled. and he pulled and almost came to a stop, almost a stop. And then to everybody's amazement, he started to run again. And he ran and he finished 4th and qualified for the final.
Okay.
But after that,
could we have a motion for an extension of time for 15 minutes?
I so move President Richard.
Yes,
seconded.
Yes.
Seconded.
I see a question from Damian Perkins. He wants to say something.
And Richard Rowe, yeah, 2 hands are.
Richard Rowe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me just finish the point though. Afterwards, although he finished, he didn't run, he didn't turn up for this, he was never the same again. And that is why I always, after that, people are running, and if they feel something, they know, they stop. And that is what is happening now. Let me ask Damian Perkins. Go ahead. I see your hand.
All right. When you guys move to the part of the welfare of the athletes, whenever we come to that part, I'm always very emotional when it comes to it because I'm saying, I always say we as Jamaica cannot afford another Olivia McCoy. We already have one. We cannot afford one. And I say that because we have multi-Commonwealth bronze medalists, multi-Olympic finalists in the javelin on the road, mentally ill right now. Jamaica cannot afford another Olivia McCoy. I get very emotional when it comes to that. And also that fellow down that ended up in the crash and is now at the surgeon Golding recovering. I'm thinking that is the reason why Grange came up with the athletes insurance thing. but I'm of the view that we here in Jamaica, we don't look out for the welfare of our athletes, basically. That's what I am about. We don't look out for the welfare of the athlete. If me as an athlete don't go to the circuit, I have to quit and go find work. I know.
Okay.
Jamaica, yes, we cheer for our athletes who competing and winning, but then you stop winning, you just competing and not making a final or not winning or stop winning. That's it for you.
Okay. I think something was introduced where those preparing for the majors are given something. I can't remember what. Claudia, you remember what was the state of that? As well as, let me just add, as well as the last set of meets that were introduced just prior to the trials this year. They called it the Olympic something another. There were about 4 of them. They offered prize money. I mean, granted, it's not major money, but they were offering.
If you made if you made the qualifying standard, you won money. If you did not make the qualifying standard for the major meet, you don't get none.
I don't think you had to do it in that race. I think if you had, you could have made the time, I think, either before. But anyway, I understand the point you're making. And even if that was done, that is really would have been a little bit and a little late. Some of the athletes have sponsorship, right? But then what we're talking about are those who don't have any sponsorship and who are not yet at the level that they can go on the circuit. Claudia, would you like to comment on that?
The government had come in still from last year and had decided to give a specific amount to all our, they got from the different associations, all of the athletes who would have qualified in the association's point of view. And they all got a regular stipend from the government. They had stopped it last year when the Olympic was put off, and then they restarted it again this year. So all of our members of our training squads were getting an amount on a monthly basis. It was not a great deal, but the athletes, I'm sure, appreciated it.
Yes.
So that was actually put in place by the government.
Yes, I do recall.
So
That's what
across
I was.
all the sports, not just track and field.
Right. So we can only hope for the person who had brought up this thing about Tajay Gale. We're really hoping and looking out to find out that he didn't do any undue damage to
Okay, let
himself.
me make a comment about that because with all of our teams, we have medical details who go, and these sorts of decisions are left up to the medical team. So the medicals were consulted, and in their opinion, he should not compete. But as happened, I guess, with our 1500 runner, with our gymnast, there some amount of discretion was left up to the athletes who felt in those two cases that, hey, they were aware of the risk that they were taking, but they wanted to be Olympians, and they opted to take part, even though the medical advice was that they should not, because these are adults, and even though you can say this is the best advice, you cannot prevent them if they insist and say, okay, I have earned my place, I want to take place. In the case of Gail, the evidence was strong that he should not have competed, but he figured, and it was because of his own feelings of supporting Jamaica. I mean, one got's impression it wasn't just about his own personal gain, but he felt that having come there, he wanted to do his best to try and give us a medal. So he felt that he wanted to give it a try. And if it was that his leg was broken, obviously he couldn't have competed. But the advice he got was that he shouldn't have, but he felt that he wanted to give it a try. And if he could manage, he would, if he could manage, well, that was it. And he tried, he did his very, very best. I mean, amazingly how well he did with the injured knee that he had. And all we can hope is that he's none the worse for it. But the medical advice did tell him not to compete, but he felt that he wanted it.
Did he change his jump off leg, Clyde? I think I heard something like that. I'm not
At
sure.
one point he changed his jump off leg, but his injured leg wasn't his jump off leg, you know.
Oh.
His injured leg was the leg that would have taken out of the brunt when he was landing.
Landing leg.
Okay.
But he did try and change it.
Okay. Okay. Outside of, I want us to consider other athletes, not just Jamaicans.
DP Richard Rowe, I think, has had his hand up.
Okay, Richard, go ahead. I don't see it in my list, but go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
I believe Richard left.
I just saw him a while ago online.
Okay. I don't see the hand up. I don't see the hand up.
His hand might have got tired.
Hello.
Yes. He's on.
Richard,
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I've been enjoying the session. Can I tell you the discussion has been great? But moment for me was with our long jumper. I saw where he was making a serious effort to, do what he could. I mean, was pretty much in it. I know he meant well, but I do agree that perhaps he would have been,
You're fading, Richard.
Yeah, are you hearing me? That perhaps he could have been a little. He could have been caught.
I'm not sure if it's your mic, Richard, or if it's somebody else's mic. Maybe if you can close the other mics, maybe Richard will be able to come through a little stronger.
Okay. Is that any better?
It sounds like it's your mic. But anyway, go ahead. I think we can hear you.
Yeah, I think it should have been discouraged though, because remember, The long jump is about landing. And if you're having a problem landing, you know it will have a psychological effect. Although the run-up is fine, if you're not sure how the landing is going to go, it will create a problem for you in terms of how far you might go.
We're not hearing you very well. We're not hearing you very well, Richard. It's not. I don't think we're able to appreciate everything that you're saying. Although I get the sentiment that you are sympathetic about Tajay Gale, but and there's a noise, a nagging noise accompanying your mic.
Oh Lord! All right.
I don't know if it's how it's connected. Let me just sorry Richard. Let me just ask. I want to ask the audience at large to jump in and tell us what's the most amazing performance you have seen. And it doesn't have to be Jamaican, please remember that. I have mine, but I want to hear from the floor first.
The hurdles.
Which one?
Hurdles.
Which
400
one?
hurdles. The 400 hurdles. That
Okay.
was sensational.
Yes. You want to tell those who are not so familiar and don't know exactly why you say the 400 hurdles?
Because he broke his own record. And not only did he break his own record, everybody else in the race either had a personal best, a season's best, or a national record. And not only that, the person who came second, Benjamin from the US, his time was, well, the winner time was 45.70, what it was? Something.
45.94.
45.94. The second place person was 46.17.
Right.
That should have been a record in itself. But because of what happened with the first place, and even the third place,
he also broke the world record. He also broke the previous world record.
He also broke the world record. And then everybody else coming at a national record, person season's best. And it was just sensational. It was just like, wow.
Yes.
You know.
That was a wow moment. That was the one I would have picked, but I'm glad I, let you say it first. Yeah. The first three persons, I don't think I can remember another event. I mean, there might have been one, who is to tell, where the first three persons.
There was.
Jordan. Well, not
the first three, but the first two.
You mean the first, that has happened before?
Yes. Not in the hurdles, though. Not in the hurdles.
Any other event, right? But I don't think the first three have broken an existing world record. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
And the one that I'm referring to, DP Stewart, you should know who I'm talking about. We own him. He is ours, Mr. Bolt. Bolt race, both 100 with Tyson Gay, when Tyson clocked 969 and still came second.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so anybody else has one that, even if it may not have been as amazing as everybody breaking the world record, but that was your amazing performance? Let's hear from you.
Mine is a 17-year-old American.
Oh, the guy in the 200.
200 meters, yes.
Yes.
And I look out for him in the finals.
Yes. Anybody else? Let's.
Mine is this 4 feet 13.5 inches little female getting that bronze medal.
4 feet.
13.5 inches.
Megan.
You're talking about Megan.
I second that, but first.
I think
They should
winning
lower
that 200 was special.
hurdle.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Because in the first time in history, I think we all thought that 200-meter world record was invincible and untouchable. And for the first time, I thought the world was watching and say it was possible to break that world record.
Sorry,
so I think the performance was
I didn't hear which record you're talking about.
I said just the 200-meter race I think was special because at no other point have I ever watched a race and we thought the world record could have been touched or come close to before. This is the first time I thought the world watched a race and said, "Oh my God, it's possible that Florida record could possibly go."
Yes.
Another spectacular feat I thought was in the 1500 heats, I think, or semis.
Yes.
When she fell, Hassan, I think her name.
Right.
She fell down and got up back and ran down the field and won the race.
But she do it also in the heats, in the semis? She did the same thing.
You mean she fell twice?
She fell the first time she fell, and she got up and got herself qualified. It's the second time she did it.
And she's going for the triplet because she did 5,000 and 10,000.
Right. That lady.
So wait a minute. Are you saying she fell in the finals again?
That's what I heard. I didn't see it.
No, I didn't.
It's one time she fell.
One time she fell.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't see the finals, but I know I definitely saw the first time. But somebody said it again today that she fell in the finals. I was like, what? I didn't know that.
Have you watched any of the table tennis? Some amazing games.
I have seen some of the table tennis. And to be honest, I used to play a lot of that when I was, like at school, in school. And it's really a delight to watch these guys. Although sometimes, go ahead, who wants to come in?
No, you're just saying the guys. Well, I presume you mean the girls and the guys and the males and females, because some of the females I saw there, boy, were phenomenal.
Yeah.
The reflexes there, boy, especially the Chinese and the Japanese.
Yeah, I saw a match with an Egyptian against a Chinese. It was the Egyptians that were playing against. I think the Egyptian lost, but he was pretty good. he was not, he wasn't a softie then, if we want to put it that way, but he lost. That was excellent. Which other even our diver competed, I think the day before, Yona. I think he got out of the prelims, but didn't get past the next round.
Didn't get past it.
And apparently he said what happened is that the score he had from the prelims, if he had been able to repeat that in the final, he would have in the semis, he would have been in the final. Kind of like Natoya, if she had been able to reproduce one of her earlier times. I'm not sure if it would have had to be her PB. She might have been close to medaling.
DP3, another wow moment for me, something that I loved, the return of Kirani James.
Oh yes.
After all of that he's been through.
Yes.
Back with a bang.
Yes. Graves' disease, right? I think that's what he had.
Yes, Graves' disease, yes. Plus his mother died in 2019 and he had to be dealing with all of that. And it's just like a lot of the athletes, they have all these stories and they've been going through so much.
Yes. Another one who went through a lot, but he hasn't come back yet was Van Kirk. I mean the South African guy.
Right. Oh.
Mm-hmm. He faded. He's still the world record holder. In the 400 meters, but obviously he hasn't quite recovered from that serious injury, which was really a career-ending injury. So those are some special issues.
EP Stuart, I just recognize President Kemar. He's still having some internet challenges, although he is online.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're close to wrapping up now. I'd probably throw in the triple jumper for women. Our girl Ricketts, she came fourth, and she was in bronze position for a while.
Until the very last jump.
until the very last jump.
Very last jump pushed her out of the position.
Yes.
Get kicked out by Spain. I'm so sad.
But the winner, Rojas from Venezuela, she's a tall girl. And she really won in style. What do you think about our throws? Anybody want to comment on our throws?
They're just having a down year this year because nobody went further. I think Sade is the only one that went anywhere. So we're just having a lull year this year.
Well, we had one throw in the discus went to the finals.
Sade.
And he.
Right.
Oh yes, and that Calabar guy there.
Right.
But DP, before you wrap up, most importantly, our 100 meters, not one man. How was that remotely possible?
Well, are you saying that you went into the Olympics thinking that we were going to have a finalist? I mean, or did you feel that it was not? Are you saying that based on historical,
emotions wanted it?
Based on historical periods?
No. To be honest with you,
yeah.
My expectation was that we weren't getting anything. I know this, but I'm saying it is a sad thing for Jamaica. For us to have been 20 years going through and then now we have no succession, nobody.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, but not terrible.
It's not as bad as that.
You have some countries who for 20 years, it's just that we have been spoiled.
True. I agree with that, but
you have some countries for 100 years though.
Let me put it this way, Sandy. If remember, Johan had two successive injuries, right? I think if he hadn't gone through that, he would be a formidable force today. And I also think we need to remember that in the period when it was Bolt, Blake, and maybe and Asafa, or Bolt, Blake, and it was almost wrapped up. I think there are our second tier and third tier athletes. I think our success, caused some level of frustration. This is just a theory I have, which is what led to them moving on. Some of that tier that was supposed to rise to the top, they migrated and to run for other countries. Remember, we lost about 5 male athletes, right? And we only lost 1 female, if I remember correctly. That was Sharika Williams, I think. But we lost about 5 males. So some of the lack of continuity comes from that. Not saying that they necessarily would have been world beaters, but if they had remained here, who's to tell if they wouldn't have been developed, and made that transition.
Before you wrap up, DP, the regulations governing doping, I think it's in need of some sort of review, because I think things have changed over the years and some of these regulations are somewhat archaic,
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that it should, the regulation that barred the young star from the US.
Shakari.
Yes, the ganja or whatever you want to call it, should be changed. But it sort of indicates that things are changing and technologies and information and chemicals and so on. It's constantly changing and, it needs review. Because I know they're saying that ganja may be masking something else, but...
Yes, it does. It's a masking agent.
No, that's not correct. I have to say that's not correct. That's just fiction.
I don't know, but I think the point I'm making is that some review should take place.
Okay. Well, let me say this. Every year, the list is reviewed.
Wait.
Huh?
SEBCO, did they come out and say it's going to be looked at?
Yes, he did. That's what I wanted to go back to something else. The first president of water, right, in an interview with I think it was Yahoo News. I have it on my Facebook, right? He actually indicated why marijuana was put in there in the first place. Had nothing to do with masking, had nothing to do with performance enhancing. He said they didn't want it to appear that sport was like I have to paraphrase here, was like spitting in the face of the legal authority. At that time, it was about 10, 11 years ago, marijuana was an illegal substance in most of the US and most of the world, right?
But that has
And
changed, yeah.
they therefore, what he said is that they therefore just lumped it in with cocaine and some of those other drugs. That is why it is in there in the first place, right? And when SEBCO says that they really think they need to do a review, it is true. It's not a performance. Although I have argued, that in shooting, in shooting and archery, those are the two I've come up with. It could be a performance enhancing drug in the sense that it's supposed to make you calmer, that kind of element.
Exactly.
Right. But we're basically talking about track and field. You wouldn't put something in it that affects everybody if it is something that only affects, a minority. That's not how I don't think that's how these things are. That's not how they come. They arrive at their decision as to what goes into the banned list.
Yes, I think we're out of
Right.
time at this time, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for their willing and eager participation. I think I owe it to Clyde. If there's any last word you'd like to say, Clyde, is there anything you want to just finally end on? Clyde? Okay. Okay, well, let me again just say thanks for everyone who came and who has participated, and we're just a moment to share and look forward to the rest of the Olympics and enjoy it. So over to you, President Richard.
Okay, thank you. It's time for the Sarge. PD Gladstone, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me?
Indeed, very loud and clear.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity. DP Stuart Spencer.
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
My wife used a format on me sometime when she called my full name. I'm in deep trouble.
Oh.
So you're in deep trouble for my calling you all three names together.
What have I done, Sarge?
Left out Alphonse. Alphonse.
I wouldn't even mention that. That's another story. But you have confused me, sir, by introducing whether you're a guest speaker or your special guest. You confused me so much that even your old boy from Calabar at the button.
He just wanted to get in the Calabar part, Sarge. That's all he wanted to get in.
While I'm in a good mood, I'm only going to charge you $300. Pay it quick before I change my mind.
Okay. I won't appeal. I won't appeal, Sarge.
All right. DP Marcel.
Hey.
Hey, listen.
Hey.
Here's a warrant for your arrest. I've been looking for you from last week, and I know curfew is out. So there's nowhere you can go because you're supposed to be home.
I have 3 homes.
Listen, I want to charge you $1,000, but your wife saved you because you can't even save yourself. Your wife is my good friend, and I don't want to charge you that much because you can't save yourself, sir. So because of her, I'm only going to charge you $300.
I let her pay.
No, sir. If you do that, you'll pay $1,000. Well, a motorist was stopped one night in town at about 11:55. And he was stopped by 2 policemen. They asked him to produce his driver's license and asked him where he was coming from. He said he was coming from work. They asked him to produce his driver's license and step out of the car. He produced his driver's license and he stepped out of the car. But just as he stepped out of the car, there was an accident on the other side of the road. And the cops said to him, boy, you're in good luck tonight, because the thing came over the radio that there's a 3-car accident and it's fatal. So the officers decide to give him back his driver's license, wish him good luck, and went over to investigate the other accident. He said, well, boy, this is my good blessing tonight. So he jumped back in his car, drove straight home, parked the car and went to bed. Following morning, being Sunday, he was sleeping in bed and he heard a banging on the front door. He looked and he saw 2 police officers because he could see through the glass door, and they went down to investigate. They said to him, were you stopped last night in town? Are you John Brown? He said, yes. He said, did the officers suggest to you that you were drinking? He said, yes. He said, did they suggest to you that you were drunk? He said, yes. He said, tell us what happened after that. So he said, after the officers took my license, there was an accident on the other side of the road. So they gave me back my driver's license and wished me good luck. So I jumped into my car and I came straight home. Said, and I went straight to bed. He said, so where's your car now? I said, my car's locked in the garage. He said, can we take a look at it? So he said, yes. So he put on his robe and he went downstairs and opened the garage, and to the surprise of everybody, the police car was locked up into the driveway, into the garage with all the lights still flashing.
All right.
That's it, that's it, Mr. President.
Yes,
Thank you very much, sir.
This court tonight. This court.
Huh? Yeah, good one.
This court tonight.
Okay.
And Levy did it.
Yes. Okay, for notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities, Secretary DLG Willing will present, and we'll invite Barbican if they have any announcements as well. Over to you, Secretary William.
Sorry, President Richard, I was just watching the finals of 110 meters.
They're not finals, semi-finals.
Semi-finals. Thank you very much for the correction, distinguished President Desmond.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Okay, regarding announcements, as you all know by now, our benefit performance at Basildor, Clay, Mojo, and Flo has been postponed. A decision will have to be taken now whether we ask them for a refund at this time or and request a date later on in the year. Two notes to make in your diary. K1 is September 12th. K1 is for Disability Day Church Service, Boulevard Baptist Church. And on September 26th, please note in your diaries, President's End of Administration Church Service. Those are the announcements for now. President Richard, in terms of interclubbing opportunities, the details will be sent out tomorrow.
Sorry, really, what date did you say? September?
What for?
The church service.
26th.
And the 12th.
That should be the 12th.
12th.
September 12th.
Or 12, sorry. K1 is for Disability Church Service, Boulevard Baptist Church, that's September 12th.
Yes.
And our present church service will be on the 26th. All right, President Richard, you may want to invite Representative from Barbican and
yes. We extend to Barbican for any notices and announcements.
Hi, thank you, President Richard. Well, what I know, we're supposed to be painting, assisting Melrose Primary with preparations for back to school. So we're supposed to assist them with painting. However, I have not fully gotten all the details from our president. I was trying to contact him at this time, but I've not gotten anything. So when I get everything, I will definitely be sending that out. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. We now invite DP Stewart for the thought.
President, President Richard.
Yes.
President Joshua, would you like to tell us about the CKI Circle K International planned K Family Day on the 6th of August, which is this Friday?
Definitely. Let me just bring up the information they sent to me quickly. I have it right here. Oh, wonderful. So the Caribbean District of CKI is actually keeping a K-Fam rally on August 6th at 6 p.m. sharp. So this K-Fam rally is really bringing towards the key clubbers together, the Billiards Clubs together, the Action Club together, and the Kiwanis Club for a night of fun, well, for an evening of fun and laughter. They're saying that all Kiwanians are invited to this joint event, and it promises to be an evening of just fun, laughter, and making good memories. They seek to keep this event to actually bring the district closer together with their sponsoring club and all other SLPs. And they're looking forward to everyone joining this event.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now move to the thought of the week by DP Stewart.
Thank you, President Richard. Okay, this one is, oh wow, I'm trying to find my little spot. Yeah, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. That's a quote from Mark Twain. And there's another one that I had. I hope I didn't lose my spot because I've been turning some pages. I think I've lost my spot for the other one, Prez. So I'm gonna have to forego the other one.
Okay, well, I'll say Mark Twain can speak for himself. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, at this time, I invite us all to raise our glasses in a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica land we love.
And we love.
Jamaica land we love, yes.
This joint meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and the Kiwanis Club of Barbican is hereby terminated.